law by itself does not cure this social thinking. Has it solved this question of untouchability? Has it really? As a historian, as a
I mean, it has
politically
certainly
educated,
given political power
yes,
to those who were
we are
marginalized, and
examining it.
people have now rights to go
We are
into education and
examining.
so on.
We are examining it from Delhi, from Chennai, or from Mumbai. If you go down deep into the villages, has it really solved the problem? Can you tell me that they are aware of Article 17, untouchability has been abolished? I can personally experience and tell you, even judges practice it.
Rather than going in circles, I just thought there's another really curious thing that has happened with the law. In one sense, of course, you see this kind of judicial activism in which you're being critical of. On the other hand, reports written by eminent figures such as even yourselves, tend to be of no effect, even if those reports are incredibly detailed and full of insights, like your report on the Bombay riots. They seem to be a kind of mechanism to, as it were, ward off reform or to actually bring change.
You gave an example of the Riots Commission, Bombay Riots Commission. The government in power did not implement it for obvious reasons. A, when the report was made, the government in power was the one that was indicted by it.
That's
so they
right.
were not interested. Later on, another party came into power, but for political reasons, they did not implement it. There were a set of recommendations made with regard to what went wrong and what action needs to be taken against which kind of or which particular individuals.
That's right.
Now, forget what needs to be done in the future. With regard to action to be taken against persons who were named.
Yes.
Now, the courts did nothing in that.
That's right.
Neither the High Court, in fact, the High Court summarily threw it off. The matter came to Supreme Court. The Supreme Court went on adjourning it from time to time to time, and then finally said something which I'm baffled to understand. I thought the report was clear enough, but what the Supreme Court did ultimately resulted in one constable being convicted.
Convicted, that's
and
right.
one MLA being convicted, who fortunately was accorded better justice by the good Lord because he died soon. Now, what have you achieved by this? Now, you are blaming the elected representatives of inaction, the executive of inaction. What has the court done? Yes, court has done nothing to add to the situation. In fact, that is where the court could have acted.
That's correct.
Because that is a post facto situation where it could have acted affirmatively and firmly. They didn't do it. But when it comes to a question of what should be the normative things in society should be, you jump up and say, just this should be the normative values to be added.
But given the fact that, let's say, the court is, as a matter of fact, whether it is right or not, wading into public issues of moment, that is making it more political because there is more interest in what they are doing. Given that, do you think perhaps that we need to move to some kind of appointment model which is more in tune with what the people want, that is like a Senate ratification in the American case or some such case? Because if you are going to decide issues of moment that affect lives of ordinary people on a daily basis, then people deserve to know who you are. So why not a televised ratification hearing for Supreme Court judges?
If you accept as an inevitable principle that the judge ought to sail with the wind, then you are right. You take the side person with the right sails. I agree with you. Then there was no need of judicial independence then. Then what is my political doctrine? What is my social doctrine? You pick me as a judge and put me there.
Don't you think the issue is not so much Parliament, on which we've spent some time, but actually the powers of the executive, which we've also seen in recent controversies with the press conference of the 4 judges under this regime. So it's really not simply legislature versus judiciary, but also ambitious executive power in India.
Democracy itself is inherently contradictory. It is inherently filled with tension. The Constitution has devised 3 different constitutional organs which are in perpetual tension. Now, if any one of them pushes back, the other steps back, the other one will occupy the space. Why do you think Parliament was unable to control all that? Because the Parliament didn't know what to do. the space is occupied by the judiciary. So it's like saying that if you have a weak neighbor, you trespass into his garden. Now when the neighbor becomes strong, he'll beat you back. This is going to happen, and I'm shuddering to think, what if the neighbor is too strong and I'm required to beat back all the way back?
If you look at the aftermath of that, given that something so grave has happened, I personally was quite disappointed that no structural reform of any kind came about. There was a failed impeachment motion that was moved that made it about one person, the sitting Chief Justice, and that fizzled out, and nothing else happened, and the Supreme Court goes on as usual without the public knowing as to what that fuss was all about. So do you think that perhaps in the aftermath of it, do you think that either A, there should have been serious reforms, or B, that perhaps they shouldn't have done the press conference in the first place?
Frankly, I was scared that they would appoint a commission to go into all this, and I was dead.
And then you would have been the chairperson of
the moment, having been the victim of all these commissions. So I said, oh my God, that's exactly what my wife told me in the first session as soon as she read it. She said, it's next job cut out. Thank God it didn't come out.
You never know, maybe it will come.
No, it's difficult to say, structural reform in an institution like Supreme Court requires a lot of clear thinking. It's not so easy. It's not so easy because each of the judges is vested with power, and no one would like his turf to be taken away.
But let's take the issue of appointments. Do you think it's time for the collegium system to be reformed or to go?
Yes, provided there is a system which is alternative to it and equally good, if not better. Therefore, what was the problem with the previous NJAC? If it had been left out with a majority of the judges, I think it would have been held constitutional. Because the moment you say it is left to some non-judges, then the judicial hackles will rise. They should sit together and say, these are the rules of the game. It's my job to do A, B, C, D, I shall do it honestly. It's your job to do A, B, C, D, you shall do it honestly. I will not tread on your toes, you will not tread on my toes.
But maybe that's what you said, as in the constitution is inherent with that kind of tension.
Correct, but then you should draw a line, no? It's like I always say that the democracy is like swinging on a hammock. There is tension on both sides. You release the tension on one side, the people will fall down. Therefore, the tension must be maintained for the betterment of the person who is using the hammock.
Justice Srikrishna, this has been, as ever with you, a provocative discussion. And thank you again, Justice
Thank you,
Srikrishna.
Justice
Thanks.
Thank you very much. It has been great.
Thanks.
Thank you.